Well, I also looked up the TED Talk, except I called it what we call it, a dove talk. And got little pictures of birds, little doves, and I realized that that's not going to work. So I kind of took it a different way too. How many of you like driving a car or a truck? How many of you like teaching someone else to drive? A few less hands. How many of you have not had the chance yet to teach someone else to drive? You will probably get the opportunity. Do you remember some of your early experiences of teaching someone to drive? Or driving yourself? I do. Right after we were picking up my permit, which we can get at 16 in Pennsylvania, we crossed over the busy road. And my dad pulled over and let me drive home in his pickup truck. It went well, I believe, as I got another chance to drive. This time, my dad came to pick me up from work. And he said, "Do you want to drive home?" And I was like, "Yes." But it was a different vehicle. This time, it didn't go so well. Yep, there was an extra pedal on the floor, which I had never taken notice of before. And even with my dad's patient instructions and his attempts to explain to me how to use the clutch for shifting, it was a long drive home. And this included a significant hill between where I worked and where we lived. It sparked something in me, though, and made me want to be determined to learn how to drive a 5-speed manual transmission. So I learned how to drive a manual transmission using my brother's cars in the driveway. Our driveway wasn't very big, but there was a slight incline, which was just perfect for allowing me to learn how to use the clutch. And I knew I had mastered it one day when I was asked to drive one of my brother's cars to the garage for maintenance. This skill was very useful for my next job, as I was a gopher for my uncle's company. Go for this, go for that. And I could use whatever work truck or van was available to use. I got the trophy. I could use a 5-speed manual transmission. I even bought one to bring along today, but Amazon didn't quite come through in time. So I started out as a learner. My dad was my instructor. Super important. It's not always fun, and it can be very time-consuming. It takes a lot longer to teach someone how to do something than it does just to do it yourself. I know I would rather be in the driver's seat. But having 5 kids that we didn't want to drive around forever, Brian and I were very committed to teaching our kids how to drive. We have a term in the States also, riding shotgun. It's a front passenger seat, and it comes from an old meaning of being on the lookout for danger and carrying a shotgun. But it also has a figurative meaning of describes someone who accompanies another to provide support and protection. I've been a teacher, and I've been a learner, and on one unforgettable drive to church, I was riding shotgun. Our young driver had passed the driver's test and was a proud owner of their very own driver's license. We were headed to church in the family van, and I was reminding myself to relax. Our driver is now licensed and can be on the road themselves, so it's time to chill and to relax. Our driver, as we sat at the stop sign, waiting to cross, I practiced the art of relaxing, as all parents of young drivers have mastered, right? About this time, we started to pull out. And I felt like it would be okay for me to look. After all, I was riding shotgun. Coming right at us was a big red pickup truck with oversized wheels. I couldn't find one with oversized wheels, but with oversized wheels. At this point, I had a dozen thoughts go through my mind. There is no way we are going to avoid a collision, as the velocity and the momentum of our van and the speed of the oncoming truck are going to meet in 1 second. It's interesting how your brain kind of just goes down these trails. We're going to all die, except for one, as one of our family members was already at church. There is not enough time to explain anything, but somehow I did manage to say one word. Stop! So I said it loud. Stop. And our brilliant young driver immediately stopped halfway across the road, and the big red truck went right in front of us. I just want to say every seat is important. It's also important to know what seat you are in. And it's also important to be flexible and occupy different seats to accomplish different goals or tasks. I gave a warning, but the driver was the one who stopped. Some seats we like more than others, but all are important. Be an attentive learner. Be a teacher. Take the time to impart and to teach so that you can multiply yourself. You will accomplish exponentially more. So much more potential in our family with 7 drivers than if Brian and I were still driving everyone around. Believe me, we did that for a few summers when our kids were home from school and college and they had jobs. It just about took a spreadsheet in order not to forget anyone. We have examples in the Bible of learners that are mastering a new skill from a teacher. Moses to Joshua, Elijah to Elisha, Paul to Timothy. We also have individuals who are providing protection and support. Jethro to Moses, Mordecai to Esther. And one of my favorites is little Miriam, who was watching out for her baby brother, Moses. She was on the lookout for danger and being the ears and eyes for her mother. This leads me to my favorite story, as it involves my dad again. December 5th, 2003, our local school, this is American football, the American football team had made it the whole way to the state championship game. This was the first time ever, and a lot of local excitement was an understatement for our community. There were 6 of us planning to go. Brian was in Canada with our Canadian church friends. I was a driver, as the only one that had a vehicle with at least 6 seats. There were 3 adults, 3 kids anticipating the big game. It started snowing late that afternoon, and it came down heavy and fast. We decided to still go. As we departed, my dad was riding shotgun for me as we embarked on what should be a 45-minute drive to the big game. On the route, we encountered stop traffic due to an accident. In wanting to arrive on time to the game and not wanting to sit in traffic, we discussed alternate routes. I was driving, which was just fine with me, as I do really like driving in snow, even if I had a front wheel drive Ford Aerostar van. I was also thrilled that neither of my adult male passengers said anything to me about giving up my seat as a driver. I was also very happy to have a competent shotgun rider, my dad. With everyone collaborating, we left the main road and headed on an alternate route with one stipulation: to avoid the big hill at Mount Gretna, which my dad, my shotgun rider, assured me we could. I had an extra eyes to watch for black ice, which is a transparent layer of ice, snow that could pull us into a ditch, oncoming traffic, and to give directions. We arrived safely to the game that was equally, if not more, exciting. Our team won the state championship in a close double overtime game of 39-38. So everyone stayed to the very end, and it was still snowing when we on our route home, but not as treacherous. There was 20 inches of snow on the ground, and a fresh 2 inches had fallen during the game. My backseat drivers were also a huge part of the story. They sure added to making it a fun, memorable night. My closing thought: know what seat you're in and the role you play. They're all super important.